Parliament has welcomed the Western Cape High Court ruling on the suspension of the 0.5% value-added tax increase that was due to come into effect on Thursday. Now, the court also set aside the resolutions of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces adopted that, of course, on the 2nd of April to approve the 2025 Fiscal Framework. The South African Revenue Services has also urged consumers to ensure that they are charged the correct VAT rate of 15% in accordance with the VAT reversal compliance. Now, to talk to us more about some of these technical matters of the VAT rate reversal and the impact on businesses who had already adjusted their tax systems, we're joined now by Evádne Bronkhorst, who is the Senior Manager Tax Consulting at Forvis Mazars in South Africa. Evádne, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Sakina.
So how complex is this matter really? Because we heard that judgment from the Cape High Court ordering the reversal for VAT, and vendors and businesses, of course, need to comply. But just how complex is this matter?
So there was a lot of uncertainty leading up to the Western Cape High Court ruling, because the only other manner in which the VAT rate increase withdrawal could become effective is if the bill was approved. And the new bill was only published on the 24th of April. So now vendors basically found themselves in this place where you have to make a decision: is it going to increase or is it not going to increase? Because if it was set to increase, then you ran the risk of not complying, paying less output tax as a vendor, supplying goods and services to consumers, and then you might be subject to understatement penalties. As far as the practical implications are concerned, the conservative approach that a lot of the vendors have been following is to update their systems. And this is a point I want to make. This is a short-term win, especially from the perspective of consumers, but not so for businesses. This VAT rate increase required them to actually update their systems. If you think about a retailer, they had to also, their automated systems, update all the price lists, make sure that all the prices that are displayed on the shelves are also updated, and train every person that might be affected or involved in this process. So if you think about a large retailer, they might be better positioned to have the resources available to actually address these practical aspects resulting from the VAT rate increase. And now that whole process has to be redone, where everything has already been implemented, so everything has to be withdrawn. Training also needs to take place. And I mean, I'm expecting that you might go to a retailer and some of the prices that are displayed, for example, on the shelves might still be incorrect. But the large retailers, although it might have cost them a lot of money, they have internal resources. I'm particularly concerned about the financial impact that this has had on the small, medium enterprises. Most of them would have had to procure assistance from outside consultants to assist them with updating their systems. And you can just think about the impact this has had on them. And now they have to rehire those same consultants to actually reverse all the system changes that have been made. There might be some of the vendors that have not implemented system changes yet, but if one have regard to some of the comments being made in the public arena, most of the large retailers already made the changes, but they've already reversed the changes that were implemented as well, because they are committed to ensuring that consumers pay the correct price. So I would urge consumers to, if they visit a store, to on the spot make sure that they are indeed paying the correct price, because it's going to be very difficult to go back and try to recover a 0.5% price addition that you paid that you should not have paid, because some of the people might get at home. It might be a sponsor shop or some place that you don't get a receipt. So you don't actually have any proof that you paid the incorrect price. So I think there's a lot of practical challenges around the corner, but more so for consumers than for the larger retailers and vendors that actually have the resources and the capacity to deal with these changes.
And I guess that is the nub of the matter, because as you pointed out, that people should check. The SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter on SABC News yesterday reiterating that message. But SARS has also given businesses a little more time until the 15th of May to complete these adjustments back to the 15% VAT rate. But the issue here is, of course, that impact on customers who make use of these vendors' services. So what recourse would they then have? Because as you say, perhaps for the bigger retailers with deeper pockets, they may be able to do this, but some of the smaller ones may not.
Yes, so I would advise that the transitional measures that are put in place to allow vendors to get their systems in place, that if a vendor does not have the capacity to actually comply with that deadline, that they get in touch with SARS immediately via one of the SARS contact channels, or even procure the services of a registered tax practitioner to assist them with this matter, because it's better being proactive than knowing you're going to miss the deadline and they're not doing anything about it, because then basically what you are going to do is you are going to misstate the figures that you have to declare in your VAT return as a vendor. So from a vendor perspective, I would advise, if you think you're going to run out of time, rather procure some assistance and consult with SARS, and hopefully SARS will be lenient in this regard. And I mean, if you just think about it, even the large retailers, a lot of them has already sent out invoices with the new VAT rate. So now they have to also invest in communicated that, you know, statements have been sent out, invoices has been sent out using the incorrect VAT rate, and then those invoices will either have to be amended or credit notes would need to be issued. So there's quite a lot of administrative and communication matters that needs to be attended to. But it's, as you mentioned, if it's a vendor that, I mean, we also have the problem of the informal sector where people aren't even registered for VAT. So basically, it won't impact them the consumers in that sense, but these vendors might decide to informally increase their prices anyway. And I think in that instance, the consumers would not have any recourse in that regard, because that particular supplier is already not registered for VAT with SARS. I think also what would be good is if SARS could perhaps provide roadshows or even open a specific communication channel to assist consumers with their particular questions and queries in this regard. Because for people that are knowledgeable regarding VAT matters, it's easy for them to check this. But I think there's a lot of people in South Africa that doesn't necessarily have the exposure or have the sufficient knowledge, and they're open for being abused by vendors. And I think it would be good if SARS can provide more support regarding training, and also in this transition period, providing more support to consumers and making sure that there's compliance. But if you think about it, I'm definitely expecting that SARS would focus on this area when conducting VAT verifications and audits, to make sure that consumers are being protected and that vendors are charging the correct VAT rate.
Well, Evádne, there's so much more to talk here about, but unfortunately we're out of time looking at all of those technicalities that you point out with the VAT declarations then. And as you say, consumers, they will need to be vigilant. But little to no recourse in instances where the price adjustments may have happened already in the informal sector, and you simply won't be any wiser. But Evádne, thank you so much for your time this morning. That was Evádne Bronkhorst, Senior Manager, Tax Consulting at Forvis Mazars in South Africa, and she was helping us there to unpack what this 0.5 VAT rate reversal means in practicality for consumers and businesses, as this Thursday, the 1st of May, is the day when that VAT increase would have come into effect. But then, of course, court ruling, of course, in the Western Cape High Court that will not go ahead.